Ethan Cade had always been drawn to the stars. As a human explorer, he had traveled to distant planets, seen strange worlds, and faced dangers that most people could never imagine. Yet nothing in his experience prepared him for the sight that greeted him on Zolaris. A world scarred by war, its skies glowing with fires from a palace under siege. The human crew's small shuttle hovered above the royal city. Below, alien forces swarmed the palace, their sharp claws and glowing energy weapons tearing through defenses. Ethan's heart pounded as he watched the destruction. He had come for a diplomatic mission, carrying gifts and messages of peace, but now he realized that negotiation was impossible. Someone, perhaps the princess herself, was in immediate danger. "Ethan," called Lieutenant Mara, his second-in-command. "We should retreat. The palace is surrounded. We can't risk going in." Ethan shook his head. "No, we can't leave her. I saw her, Princess Lyra. She's trapped inside that tower. If we don't act now..." His voice trailed, but his meaning was clear. The shuttle's doors opened and the humans prepared for descent. The city's air was thick with smoke and energy blasts. Alien attackers turned their attention to the newcomers, sensing fresh prey. Ethan grabbed his gear, checking his blaster and survival tools. Every movement had to be precise. Every decision could mean life or death. "Stay close," he warned his team. They nodded, trusting him. They had trained for dangers, but this was beyond any simulation. The team landed on a crumbling plaza near the palace gates. The ground shook as explosions echoed from the towering walls. Ethan's eyes locked on the palace tower where Lyra was trapped. A beam of energy flashed past him, striking the ground. Dust and debris rose, but he pushed forward, moving with speed and careful precision. Inside the palace, chaos reigned. Guards and servants fled, trying to protect the royal family, but the alien attackers were relentless. Ethan ducked behind a broken column as he assessed the situation. He saw a group of soldiers cornering a young figure in flowing robes. Her hair shimmered like silver light, and her eyes, wide with fear, met his for a brief moment. "Princess Lyra, hold on," he whispered to himself. He couldn't let her be taken, or worse. Ethan moved, using shadows and debris to stay unseen. His human instincts, quick thinking, and determination gave him an edge. He tossed a small smoke grenade to distract the alien attackers. The smoke clouded the corridor, hiding his advance. Lyra tried to run, but the hallway was narrow and the attackers were faster. Ethan reached her just as one lunged. He tackled the alien aside, drawing his blaster and firing a precise shot that forced the others back. Lyra froze, unsure whether to trust this human. But Ethan extended his hand. "Come with me. Now," he urged. His voice was calm but firm. She hesitated, then nodded, stepping into his side. Together, they sprinted through the palace, dodging energy blasts and leaping over fallen debris. Ethan's team followed closely behind, fending off attackers that tried to pursue them. The tower stairs were crumbling, but Ethan led the way, counting each step and timing each jump. Lyra clung to his arm as they ascended, fear and determination mingling in her eyes. "Why are you helping me?" she asked breathlessly. "Because it's the right thing to do," Ethan replied simply. "No one deserves to be trapped while others watch." They reached the top of the tower, but the door to the balcony was blocked by a fallen beam. Ethan lifted it with all his strength, sweat dripping down his face. Behind them, the palace shook again as the alien attackers breached the lower levels. Finally, the beam moved enough for them to squeeze through. The balcony overlooked a sheer drop to the plaza below. Ethan scanned for a way down. There was a broken scaffolding leading to a lower rooftop. It was risky, but it was their only chance. "Hold on tight," he told Lyra. Together they jumped, landing hard on the roof. Lyra gasped but did not fall. Ethan helped her to her feet and continued guiding her across the rooftops, leaping from one damaged platform to another. The alien attackers pursued them relentlessly, but Ethan's knowledge of strategy and terrain gave them an advantage. He set small traps, leading the aliens into dead ends and creating moments for his team to fire safely. The humans' ingenuity, so different from the aliens' brute force, kept them alive. As they reached the edge of the palace grounds, a massive explosion rocked the city. Dust and fire swirled around them. Ethan shielded Lyra with his body, protecting her from falling debris. She looked at him, eyes wide with shock and gratitude. "You saved me," she whispered, almost in disbelief. Ethan smiled briefly, though his face was streaked with dirt and sweat. "We're not safe yet," he said. "Keep moving." They reached a hidden transport vehicle Ethan had spotted earlier. His team quickly secured it while Lyra climbed inside, trembling but unharmed. Ethan gave the signal and the vehicle shot off across the city, dodging explosions and stray energy blasts. For a moment, silence fell inside the transport. Lyra finally found her voice. I don't know how to thank you. You risked everything for me. Ethan shook his head. You don't need to thank me. It's what any human would do. We don't leave people behind. Outside the city burned, but inside the transport a small sense of safety returned. Lyra looked at Ethan with curiosity. She had heard stories about humans, bold, unpredictable, sometimes reckless, but she had never seen one in action. And now she was alive because of him. As they approached the outskirts of the city, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. Saving Lyra was just the first step. He had no idea how her mother, Queen Zinara, would react. Alien royalty did not take kindly to outsiders interfering in their affairs, no matter the good intentions. Yet Ethan did not regret his choice. In the quiet moments between danger, he reflected on what had driven him. A simple human instinct to protect life, to act when someone was in need. It was this instinct, he knew, that often defined humans in ways even the most advanced aliens could not understand. Lyra finally spoke again. Who are you? Ethan shrugged, trying to appear casual despite the tension. Just a human. A friend, I hope. She looked at him with a mixture of awe and skepticism. A friend? Or a hero? Ethan smiled faintly. Maybe both, but a hero is nothing without a good cause. As the shuttle carried them away from the city, Ethan glanced back at the burning palace. Somewhere inside, the Queen would be watching, her judgment already forming. He did not know whether she would welcome his actions or demand a price he could not imagine. Still, he felt a strange calm. He had saved the princess. He had acted when it mattered most. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that whatever awaited him next, he would face it with the same courage that had brought him this far. The stars stretched out before him, endless and bright. Humanity's reach had gone far, but it was not just exploration that defined them. It was courage, compassion, and the willingness to risk everything for another being. As the shuttle sped toward safety, Ethan realized that sometimes the heart of a human was more powerful than any weapon, any machine, or any alien power. Princess Lyra sat quietly, still processing the events. She could not yet speak of the fear, the relief, or the shock that came from having her life saved by a human. But deep inside, she knew one thing. She owed her life to him, and that debt would change everything for her world and his. And for Ethan, the journey had only begun. The shuttle disappeared into the night sky, carrying them away from danger, but toward an uncertain future. One thing was certain. The actions of one human had altered the fate of an alien princess, and the consequences of that choice were yet to come. The shuttle descended into the gleaming city of Xylaris, its crystal spires catching the twin suns' light. Princess Lyra sat silently, still trembling from the events that had almost claimed her life. Beside her, Ethan Cade checked his equipment and kept a careful watch on the city below. He knew that their escape from the palace was only the first step. Facing the Queen would be far more dangerous. They landed at the royal court's outer gates. The human team stepped down cautiously, flanked by palace guards who had regained control after the chaos. The streets were eerily quiet. Citizens peeked from behind structures, whispering in awe at the sight of a human standing beside their princess. Ethan straightened his jacket and glanced at Lyra. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded, though her hand still shook. I think so." As they walked into the palace halls, the atmosphere changed. The sparkling walls and polished floors could not hide the tension. Courtiers and officials had gathered, murmuring among themselves. The human presence, unprecedented in their culture, drew curious and suspicious looks alike. At the center of the grand hall sat Queen Zinara, her regal posture unbroken despite the recent attack. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, studied Ethan as he approached. Lyra's mother radiated authority. Every movement, every gesture carried weight. Ethan felt the pressure but did not falter. He had faced danger before, yet this, facing the wrath of an alien queen, was unlike anything he had encountered. "Princess Lyra," Queen Zinara began, her voice calm but commanding, "you returned to me alive, thanks to this human." Her gaze shifted to Ethan. "Do you understand the gravity of your interference, human?" Ethan bowed slightly. Your Majesty, I did what I had to. The princess's life was in danger. I could not stand by. The queen's eyes narrowed. Xylarians have rules. We have traditions. Outsiders do not interfere in our affairs, no matter the reason. Do you know what you risked by entering the palace without permission? I risked my life, Ethan replied simply. I knew the danger, but I also knew the right thing to do. A murmur went through the court. Some of the courtiers whispered in admiration, while others frowned at his audacity. Queen Zinara's expression remained unreadable. You risked more than your life, she said slowly. In our culture, actions have consequences. Saving the princess is not enough. Humans may think courage alone is sufficient, but Xylaris has a different measure of loyalty, honor, and duty. Ethan met her gaze steadily. Then tell me what is expected. I will do what I must to make things right. The queen's lips curved slightly, though it was not a smile. You are bold, human. That much I will not deny. But boldness is not enough to satisfy the traditions of Xylaris. You will face the ritual of the heart, Ethan blinked. The ritual of the heart? It is not literal, the queen explained. But it is symbolic. Any outsider who intervenes in royal matters must demonstrate loyalty, courage, and honor through trials. Should you succeed, you will earn my trust and the gratitude of the royal family. Should you fail? She paused, letting the unspoken threat hang in the air. Lyra looked at Ethan, eyes wide. You must do this. Now, Ethan nodded. I don't have a choice. If this is what earns their trust and keeps you safe, I will do it. The queen raised her hand, signaling the attendants. Prepare him. The trials begin at dawn. He must prove himself worthy, or the consequences will be severe. Ethan spent the night in the royal guest quarters. Lyra brought him food, though neither spoke much. Both were exhausted from the escape and the tension of the court. Ethan examined the small alien room, trying to understand the culture around him. He noted that even in this palace, every object had purpose, every detail mattered. Xylarians valued order and precision, a stark contrast to humans' sometimes chaotic but adaptable nature. Lyra finally spoke. Do you think you can pass these trials? Ethan smiled faintly. I don't know, but I'll try. Humans have a way of turning impossible situations into solutions. It's what we do. She studied him for a long moment, her silver hair catching the soft light. I have never met anyone like you. You risked your life for me. I do not know why, but I am grateful. Because it's the right thing, Ethan replied simply. The next morning, the grand arena of Xylaris buzzed with anticipation. Citizens and courtiers had gathered to witness the human face the trials. The air was thick with tension. Alien nobles whispered, some skeptical, some curious, as Ethan stepped forward. Lyra stayed behind, watching from the balcony above, silent but attentive. The first trial was a test of courage. Ethan was led to a maze filled with shifting energy barriers and hidden traps. The path was narrow and the walls seemed to close in. He had to move carefully, timing his steps, dodging energy pulses, and finding paths through the ever-changing maze. Humans were known for adaptability, and Ethan used it to his advantage. He studied patterns, anticipated the barriers, and moved with precision. Several aliens attempted the maze previously and failed, caught by traps or misjudging timing, but Ethan pressed on, relying on instinct and observation. Halfway through, a section of the floor collapsed. Ethan grabbed the ledge instinctively, holding Lyra's words in mind. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action despite it. With a deep breath, he pulled himself up and continued, finally reaching the center. The first trial was complete. Next came a test of reasoning. He entered a chamber filled with intricate alien machinery. Symbols and codes glowed on the walls. The challenge: align the mechanisms correctly to open the exit. Many humans would have been overwhelmed. But Ethan's experience with alien technology, his logical thinking, and his willingness to experiment allowed him to find the solution. The final trial was combat-oriented. He had to defend a valuable Xylarian artifact from a group of highly trained alien soldiers. Ethan relied on quick thinking and human ingenuity, using the environment to his advantage, setting traps and predicting enemy movements. The aliens were strong and fast, but humans had unpredictability and creativity on their side. Ethan succeeded without harming anyone permanently, demonstrating both strength and restraint. Queen Zinara observed each trial, her expression unreadable. She saw not just bravery, but intelligence, compassion, and the willingness to risk everything for another being. Ethan's actions reflected values she had not expected from a human. After the trials, Ethan and Lyra returned to the Grand Hall. The Queen stood, her presence commanding silence. "Human," she said, her voice strong but measured, "you have passed the trials. You have demonstrated courage, loyalty, and respect for our traditions. You may not fully understand Xylarian culture, but your heart, your actions speak louder than words." Ethan bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I felt was right." The Queen nodded slowly. "And that is why you are spared the harsher consequences. But understand this, your actions have consequences beyond these walls. The royal family and indeed our people will remember this day. Humans have shown bravery, yes, but they have also entered our world. Trust must be earned continuously, not just once." Lyra stepped forward, her eyes meeting Ethan's. "Mother has spoken. You are safe for now, but the heart of Xylaris watches all human. Never forget that." Ethan nodded. He had survived the Queen's wrath, but he knew the trials were only the beginning. His bond with Lyra had grown, but so had the complexity of his situation. Alien culture, politics, and expectations were far different from anything he had faced before. As they left the court, Lyra whispered, You could have walked away." "You didn't. Why?" Ethan smiled, looking at her silver hair shimmering in the sunlight. "Because sometimes saving someone is more important than anything else. That's what humans do. And sometimes it changes everything." The palace gates closed behind them, but the story was far from over. The Queen had spared him, but she had not yet trusted him completely. Future trials awaited, trials of loyalty, trust, and understanding between two very different worlds. Ethan walked beside Lyra, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Humanity had proven its courage once more, but he understood that in this galaxy, courage alone was not enough. Compassion, intelligence, and moral strength were equally vital. The twin suns of Xylaris shone bright in the sky, casting long shadows over the city. Ethan looked up at them, taking a deep breath. He had saved a life, won the respect of a queen, and taken the first step into a world far more complex than his own. The journey ahead would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. But he was ready, because when humans act from the heart, even the most alien worlds take notice. The morning sun rose over Xylaris, painting the crystal towers in gold and silver light. Ethan Cade stood in the palace courtyard, his heart steady but his mind alert. Today was not just another series of challenges. It was the true test of loyalty, courage, and human ingenuity. The Queen's ritual demanded more than strength. It demanded quick thinking, patience, and respect for alien ways. Princess Lyra appeared beside him, her silver hair glinting in the sunlight. She looked calm, though Ethan knew that behind her composed appearance she was still nervous. "The Queen has arranged 3 final trials," she said softly. "Each will test a different part of your character. One for courage, one for intelligence, and one for loyalty." Ethan nodded. "Then we face them one at a time. No fear, just focus." The first trial was announced, the Labyrinth of Shadows. Ethan stepped forward into the maze, which stretched across a vast section of the palace grounds. Its walls were sleek and dark, lined with shimmering alien symbols that shifted and changed. The floor was unstable in places, with gaps that could open at any moment. Hidden traps pulsed with energy, waiting for careless steps. Ethan paused, taking a deep breath. Humans were not native to Xylaris, but adaptability was one of their greatest strengths. He moved carefully, feeling each vibration of the floor beneath his boots. Shadows danced along the walls, creating illusions of movement. He ignored them, focusing on patterns and timing. A low hum indicated a trap activating. Ethan ducked just in time as a barrier of energy shot past where he had been standing. He pressed forward, sensing the rhythm of the labyrinth. After what felt like hours, he reached the center. A single pedestal stood there, glowing faintly. On it rested a crystal orb that signified completion. Ethan lifted it carefully, knowing one misstep could reset the trial. When he emerged, the courtiers and onlookers murmured. Some were impressed by the human's focus and composure, others skeptical, unable to understand how a human could navigate such a deadly test with nothing but instinct and observation. Lyra smiled quietly from the balcony. She could see that Ethan's courage was not reckless, it was controlled, precise, and purposeful. Next came the Chamber of Logic, a test of intelligence. Ethan entered a circular room filled with glowing alien machinery. Symbols rotated on the walls, and a complex sequence of energy conduits needed to be aligned. Each misalignment triggered alarms or traps. Many Xylarians had attempted the chamber and failed. The Queen watched silently, her face unreadable. Ethan studied the symbols. They were unfamiliar, but not impossible. He observed patterns, tried small adjustments, and tested results carefully. When a conduit sparked incorrectly, he paused, analyzed the mistake, and tried a different combination. Hours passed and sweat dripped from his brow, but he remained calm. Human perseverance, he thought, often turned confusion into clarity. Finally, the last piece of the machinery clicked into place. A doorway opened, leading him out of the chamber. The courtier's whispers changed from skepticism to cautious admiration. Ethan had solved what many considered unsolvable, proving that human reasoning could match, even surpass Xylarian intellect in unexpected ways. The final trial was the test of loyalty, the most dangerous and unpredictable of all. Ethan was escorted to a secure vault where the palace's most treasured artifacts were kept. A group of alien soldiers appeared, tasked with testing him by attempting to steal the artifacts. His goal was to protect them without unnecessary harm, relying on strategy and intelligence rather than brute force. Ethan moved quickly, using the vault's layout to his advantage. He blocked paths, created obstacles, and used decoys to confuse the attackers. The soldiers were skilled, but humans had unpredictability on their side. Ethan's quick thinking and improvisation allowed him to anticipate their moves, keeping the artifacts safe. At one point, a soldier tried to flank him from the side. Ethan threw a small tool, tripping the attacker without causing injury. The Queen observed, her expression still stern, but her eyes revealed interest. Humans were strange creatures, she realized. They combined courage, intelligence, and instinct in ways that Xylarians rarely expected, and yet they did it with compassion, a moral code that seemed to guide every action. Halfway through the trial, a sudden alarm rang. A hidden group of palace traitors had attempted to infiltrate the vault, aiming to kidnap Princess Lyra. Ethan recognized the danger immediately. The loyalty trial became real-life defense. Without hesitation, he acted. Using quick thinking and a combination of human strategy and improvisation, Ethan neutralized the threat. He blocked the traitor's path, guided Lyra to safety, and secured the artifacts. The palace guards were impressed, though surprised that a human had taken command so effectively. Lyra's eyes shone with gratitude and awe. When the chaos ended, Ethan stood before the Queen once again. Sweat and dust covered him, but his stance was firm, his gaze steady. He had faced fear, solved impossible challenges, and protected the princess. Queen Xynara studied him for a long moment. The court waited, holding their collective breath. Finally, she spoke. "Human, you have proven more than skill or courage. You have shown loyalty, intelligence, and moral strength. You understand the value of life, the importance of compassion, and the meaning of honor. You have passed the trials of the heart." Ethan exhaled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. But he knew this was not the end. In Xylarian culture, trust was earned continuously, not just once. Still, passing the trials was a remarkable step forward. Lyra approached him, her silver hair catching the afternoon light. "You did it, Ethan," she said softly. "You passed everything. I am grateful." Ethan shrugged. "I just did what I had to. You're safe. That's what matters." Yet even as they celebrated, Ethan noticed something troubling. The group of traitors he had faced in the vault seemed too organized, too deliberate. Someone inside the palace had planned this attack with knowledge of the trials. The Queen had arranged the tests, but this infiltration suggested a deeper plot, one that could threaten Lyra's life even after the trials were complete. Ethan's mind worked quickly. He analyzed the layout, the timing of the attack, and the behavior of the soldiers. Humans had a unique skill for spotting patterns and connecting dots. And he realized that the danger had not passed entirely. Someone within the court sought to exploit the chaos. He shared his observations quietly with Lyra. "There's a group in the court who aren't loyal to the Queen. They tried to kidnap you during the trial. They may try again." Lyra's eyes widened. "But who could it be? How do we stop them?" Ethan thought for a moment. "We watch, we plan, and we act carefully. Trust is limited right now. I'll help you navigate this. You're not alone." Lyra looked at him, admiration and relief mixing in her gaze. She had seen many Xylarians fail under pressure, but this human had succeeded against impossible odds, showing courage, intelligence, and compassion, and now he was offering protection in a way no one else could. The day ended with a ceremony in the Grand Hall. Queen Zainara acknowledged Ethan's success in front of the entire court. "The human has passed the trials," she announced. "He has proven that courage and loyalty are not bound by species. Today, we recognize the strength of the heart." The court erupted in polite applause. Some aliens nodded in respect, others still wary, but all had witnessed something remarkable. A human had earned a place, even if temporary, in their complex world. As night fell over Xylaris, Ethan and Lyra returned to her chambers. The twin moons reflected off the palace windows, casting silver light across the room. Ethan sat quietly, thinking of the day's events, the dangers he had faced, and the unexpected bond forming between him and the princess. Lyra approached, her eyes serious. "There is more at play than we realized. Someone inside the court is plotting against me. I think you understand better than anyone else." Ethan nodded. "I've seen enough today to know that loyalty and courage mean nothing if you aren't careful. We'll figure it out, step by step. We won't let anyone hurt you." Lyra smiled faintly, a mix of relief and hope. I don't know how to thank you. You risked so much today. Not just for me, but for the palace, for all of Xylaris." Ethan smiled back. "You don't have to thank me. Humans act when others are in danger. That's what defines us. And sometimes, it changes everything." As they looked out over the city, Ethan knew that the trials had done more than prove his worth. They had revealed the strength of humanity. Courage, intelligence, loyalty, and compassion were traits that even the most advanced civilizations could respect. But the journey was far from over. Danger lingered in the shadows, and Queen Zainara's trust, while earned, was still fragile. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders once more. Protecting Princess Lyra was no longer just a duty. It was a challenge that required all his skill, wit, and heart. And he was ready to face it, because humans, he knew, could thrive even in worlds far stranger than their own. And sometimes, the heart of a human was stronger than any weapon, any rule, and any alien power. The Palace of Xylaris, normally a place of calm authority and shimmering beauty, now felt tense and watchful. Ethan Cade had passed the Queen's trials, but he could sense that the threat inside the court had not vanished. His instincts, honed through years of dangerous missions, told him that danger lingered like a shadow, waiting for the right moment to strike. Princess Lyra walked beside him as they moved through the quiet hallways. Her silver hair shimmered under the palace lights, and her expression was thoughtful, a mix of concern and curiosity. "I cannot believe the palace itself hides threats," she murmured. "I have trusted my guards for years. How could anyone betray us now?" Ethan studied her carefully. In every society, there are those who want more power, who see opportunity when others are distracted. You've survived an attack today, but there are always others waiting. We just need to find them first. Lyra looked at him, admiration and worry in her eyes. You think like a Xylarian strategist, but you are human. How do you know what to do?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Humans watch, observe, and act when needed. Sometimes that's enough." They reached the royal library, a vast room filled with floating crystal panels and ancient texts. Lyra paused, glancing at the shelves. "The Queen will not act without reason. If there are traitors, she will want proof." Ethan nodded. "Then we gather proof first. We observe patterns, see who acts strangely and who benefits from chaos. That's how we find the traitors." Over the next several hours, Ethan watched the court quietly. He noticed subtle details. A guard lingering too long near secure chambers, a minister sending messages to hidden locations, servants who seemed nervous when questioned. Humans often caught what others overlooked, and his attention to detail allowed him to see connections that others missed. Finally, a clear picture emerged. A small faction of high-ranking officials, resentful of the Queen's leadership and jealous of Princess Lyra's growing influence, were plotting to overthrow the royal family. They had tried to kidnap Lyra during Ethan's trials, using the chaos as cover. Now they were planning a second, larger attempt, one that could endanger the entire palace. Ethan shared his findings with Lyra quietly. "They are waiting for the next big distraction. They have allies among the guards and the council. If we act carefully, we can stop them before they strike." Lyra's eyes widened. "We must tell the Queen." Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. The Queen trusts few outside her inner circle. If the traitors know we are aware, they could accelerate their plans. We need to control the situation ourselves. Together, Ethan and Lyra devised a plan. They would observe the suspected traitors, gather evidence, and create an opportunity to expose them. Humans excelled at improvisation, and Ethan relied on that skill heavily. They set up discrete observation points, communicated through silent signals, and recorded suspicious activity. Days passed, and the tension in the palace grew. The traitors grew bolder, unaware that their movements were being monitored. Ethan noted every detail: coded messages, secret meetings, and subtle exchanges of information. Each discovery brought them closer to revealing the full plot. One evening, a critical moment arrived. A group of traitors attempted to infiltrate the royal armory, planning to seize weapons and stage a coup. Ethan and Lyra, prepared and ready, intercepted them. Using a combination of stealth, strategy, and quick action, Ethan blocked their escape routes while Lyra alerted loyal guards. The traitors were caught off guard. They had expected the armory to be vulnerable, but humans and loyal Xylarians working together proved far more formidable than they anticipated. Ethan's human intuition had predicted their movements, while his calm, precise actions neutralized the threat without bloodshed. When the Queen learned of the interception, she summoned Ethan and Lyra to the throne room. Her stern expression softened slightly as she regarded Ethan. "It seems your vigilance has uncovered treachery within our court," she said. "I will admit I did not expect a human to act so decisively, nor to understand the intricacies of our politics." Ethan bowed. "I only did what was necessary to protect the princess in the palace. I could not let them succeed." The Queen studied him carefully. "You understand that loyalty is more than courage. It is the willingness to act wisely, even when others doubt you. You have shown both today. You have earned not only my respect but the respect of those who value the safety of Xylaris." Lyra stepped forward. "Mother, the traitors underestimated him. Humans are different. Their thinking is unlike ours, but their hearts are strong. Ethan has saved me, and he has saved the palace again." Queen Zenara nodded slowly, her gaze softening. "Very well. We will formally recognize your efforts, but remember, human, trust is fragile. The future will continue to test your judgment, your loyalty, and your understanding of our ways." Ethan accepted the caution. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will continue to act wisely and carefully." With the traitors exposed, the Queen acted swiftly to secure the palace and strengthen defenses. She assigned loyal guards to key positions and ordered the removal of any suspicious individuals from sensitive posts. Xylaris breathed a temporary sigh of relief. The immediate danger had passed, but Ethan knew the peace was fragile. That evening, he and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. The twin moons cast a soft silver light over the sparkling fountains and crystal pathways. Lyra spoke quietly. "Ethan, without you, the palace might have fallen. I am not sure how I can repay you." Ethan smiled, shaking his head. "You don't need to repay me. Humans act because they believe in doing what is right. I didn't save you for thanks. I saved you because no one should be left behind." She looked at him, admiration and trust shining in her eyes. "Still, you have earned more than gratitude. You have earned the respect of a queen and the loyalty of many Xylarians. You have changed this place in ways I never imagined." Ethan nodded. "And you've taught me something too. Humans can survive in alien worlds, but it is through cooperation, understanding, and respect that we truly thrive." Lyra paused, considering his words. "There are still challenges ahead. The court may be cautious now, but political tension remains. You will need to stay alert." "I am always alert," Ethan replied with a grin. "And humans have a way of finding solutions where others see only problems." The next morning, Queen Zenara called for a formal audience. She praised Ethan's actions, highlighting his courage, intelligence, and loyalty. She also praised Lyra for recognizing the threat and working alongside Ethan. "The human has proven that courage and heart can bridge worlds," she said. "We will honor him, and in doing so, we honor the principles that keep Xylaris safe." Ethan bowed, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. He had faced danger, treachery, and the unfamiliar ways of an alien world, and he had succeeded. But he knew that this alliance was just the beginning. Humanity's strength lay not only in individual heroism, but in the ability to inspire, protect, and unite diverse beings. Lyra approached him afterward, her voice soft. "Ethan, what you have done, It is more than bravery. You have taught the court something about humans. Something about trust, loyalty, and courage that they will not forget. Ethan looked out over the city, his gaze steady. Humans can accomplish much when we act with heart. That is all I know. And sometimes showing courage for another is the most powerful action of all. As the day ended, Ethan reflected on everything that had occurred. He had saved a princess, passed impossible trials, uncovered a plot against the royal family, and helped to strengthen the bonds between humans and Xylarians. Yet he knew that the story was far from over. There were always new challenges, new dangers, and new decisions to make. But Ethan had proven that humans could thrive in even the most alien of worlds. That courage, intelligence, and compassion could overcome the most complex challenges. And as he looked at Princess Lyra standing beside him, he realized that their journey together had only just begun. For in a world filled with intrigue, danger, and hidden enemies, the heart of humanity was a light that could guide them through even the darkest paths. The palace of Xylaris was quieter than it had been in days. The twin suns cast long shadows across the crystal spires, and a soft breeze carried the faint scent of flowering alien trees. Ethan Cade stood in the grand hall, his hands resting on the hilt of a small energy blade that had been issued to him for safety. Today would be the final judgment, the moment that would decide not just his fate, but the trust and respect of an entire world. Princess Lyra stood beside him, her silver hair glinting in the sunlight streaming through the palace windows. She had grown more confident in recent days, her fear replaced by admiration and trust for the human who had risked his life not once, but multiple times to protect her. Yet even she knew that the Queen's judgment could change everything. Queen Zinara entered the hall, her presence commanding immediate silence. Her robe shimmered in the light, her crown reflecting the twin suns, and her eyes held the weight of authority. Ethan felt a mixture of nervousness and determination. He had faced impossible challenges, uncovered plots, and proved his loyalty, but he knew the Queen's scrutiny was unlike any test he had faced. Human, she began, her voice strong but measured. You have faced trials that tested your courage, intelligence, and loyalty. You have acted bravely to protect Princess Lyra and the palace. You have prevented disaster and revealed the treachery within this court. Yet the final measure of one's heart is not only in deeds but in intent. Why did you act? Ethan met her gaze steadily. Because it was the right thing to do. Because I could not stand by while others were in danger. Protecting life, helping those in need, and acting with honor are what define humans. I did not act for reward, recognition, or approval. I acted because someone's life was at stake and I could do something about it. The Queen's eyes narrowed as if weighing each word. She looked to her daughter Lyra, who gave a subtle nod. Ethan could see the unspoken trust and hope in her eyes. Queen Zainara paused, then spoke again. You have risked everything for an alien princess. You have entered our world, our culture, and acted with courage beyond what we expected. But there is one final question. She stepped closer. Are you willing to give your heart, figuratively, humanly, and completely, to this duty, to her safety, and to the future of our people? Ethan felt the weight of her words. He knew the phrase, give your heart, was symbolic, a test of devotion, loyalty, and courage. But he understood it fully. This was not just about saving lives. It was about trust, honor, and the willingness to stand for something greater than oneself. I am, he said simply, willing to do whatever is needed to protect her and this palace, and to act with honor. That is my heart. Queen Zinara's stern face softened slightly. She turned, gesturing to the court, and spoke with authority that silenced every whisper. Let it be known throughout Xylaris that this human, Ethan Cade, has passed the final trial. Not only has he demonstrated courage, intelligence, and loyalty, but he has shown a moral strength that surpasses expectation. He has earned the trust of this royal family, the admiration of our people, and the recognition of the Queen of Xylaris herself. The court erupted in respectful applause. Some nobles bowed, others offered cautious nods, but all were acknowledging the remarkable feat of one human who had dared to enter a world not his own and act with a heart full of courage. Princess Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining with gratitude. Ethan, she said, you have saved me, protected this palace, and shown all of us what humans can do. You are more than a hero. You are a friend, a protector, and someone who has earned my deepest respect. Ethan smiled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. I only did what any human would do. But your trust, That means more than anything. The queen, still observing, finally spoke to Lyra. My daughter, this human has proven his worth. His heart and his actions reflect qualities that our people can respect and even admire. You may trust him as I do. Lyra turned to Ethan, smiling faintly. Then we will work together. For the palace, for Xylaris, and for the future. In the days that followed, Ethan's presence in the palace became a symbol of unity and cooperation. He worked alongside the loyal Xylarians, helping to strengthen defenses, improve communication, and ensure that no further treachery could threaten the royal family. Humans' ingenuity and adaptability proved invaluable, complementing the advanced technology and organization of the Xylarians. Ethan also spent time learning about their culture. He asked questions, observed rituals, and respected customs, gaining insight into the values and traditions that guided their world. In turn, Xylarians began to appreciate the human way of thinking, creativity, moral courage, and the willingness to act even when the odds were against them. One evening, Lyra invited Ethan to walk with her through the palace gardens. The twin moons reflected on the crystal fountains, casting shimmering light across the pathways. Ethan noticed how serene the palace seemed now, a sharp contrast to the chaos of recent days. You have changed this place, Lyra said softly, not just by saving me, but by showing everyone that humans can be trusted, respected, and admired. Ethan shook his head. I didn't change the palace. Humans act when they must, and we inspire others simply by doing what's right. You saved yourself in many ways too, by trusting and acting wisely. We both did what we had to do. Lyra smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. Still, you have given so much. Your courage and heart. It will be remembered here forever. Ethan felt a quiet pride. He had risked his life, faced trials, uncovered plots, and won the respect of a world far beyond his own. Yet he remained humble, knowing that the actions he had taken were simply an expression of what humanity could do when faced with danger, injustice, or the need to protect life. The following week, Queen Zenara held a ceremony to honor Ethan formally. She presented him with a ceremonial medallion, a symbol of trust, courage, and the bond between humans and Xylarians. The court watched silently as Ethan accepted it, bowing respectfully. This medallion, the queen said, addressing the assembly, represents not only bravery but the power of the heart. Ethan Cade has risked everything for our princess and our palace. His actions remind us that courage and loyalty are universal, crossing even the boundaries of species and worlds. Ethan placed the medallion around his neck. I am honored, Your Majesty. I hope that my actions inspire not only humans but all who hear this story to act with courage and compassion. Princess Lyra stepped forward, her hand resting on Ethan's arm. Humans are capable of great things, she said softly. Today I have seen proof of that, and I am proud to call you my friend. The queen nodded in agreement. Let it be known that humans, when guided by heart, intellect, and loyalty, are worthy allies to Xylaris. This is a day to remember, a day when courage bridged worlds. Days turned into weeks and the palace regained its peace. The traitors were removed from power. Loyal guards were strengthened, and Princess Lyra began to prepare for her role as future queen with renewed confidence. Ethan continued to act as her ally, advisor, and protector, earning trust through actions rather than words. One evening, as he looked out over the city from the palace balcony, Ethan reflected on all that had happened. He had risked his life to save Princess Lyra, faced trials designed to test him in every way, uncovered betrayal, and ultimately gained the respect of a world far different from his own. Yet he understood that the true lesson was simple. Courage, loyalty, intelligence, and compassion were universal qualities, recognized by all who valued life and honor. Princess Lyra joined him on the balcony, her eyes reflecting the twin moons. You have risked your life for me, for my people, she said. I do not know how to repay you, but I know that Xylaris is better because of you. Ethan smiled, glancing at the city below. I don't need repayment. Humans act when others are in need. That's what defines us. And sometimes, that action changes everything. Lyra nodded, understanding fully. She had seen it, felt it, and lived it. And she knew that this human, Ethan Cade, had left an indelible mark on Xylaris, a mark of bravery, loyalty, and the true power of the human heart. The twin moons reflected on the palace, casting silver light over the towers, gardens, and sparkling fountains. Ethan looked at them and took a deep breath, Feeling the weight of responsibility and the pride of accomplishment, he had acted with courage, and now he had forged a bond that crossed worlds. For the Queen had declared it, the court had witnessed it, and Princess Lyra felt it. The heart of humanity had triumphed. And in the vastness of space, where civilizations were many and dangers endless, one human had proven that courage, intelligence, loyalty, and compassion could truly make a difference. And so, the story ended not with conflict or sorrow, but with recognition of bravery, of friendship, and of the extraordinary power of a human heart in an alien world. Ethan Cade smiled quietly to himself. The journey had been dangerous, the challenges immense, but in the end, he had shown that humanity's greatest strength was not in weapons, technology, or numbers. It was in the courage to act, the heart to protect, and the wisdom to know what was right. And in that moment, under the twin moons of Xylaris, the human hero knew one simple truth. Sometimes, risking your life for another was the greatest victory of all.